Hello, class of 2024. I'm Mr. Monticelli here, your very, very proud principal, here to welcome you to our class meeting. So typically, in a typical school year, we'd be in the auditorium, whole class would be together, and we'd be sharing with you introductions and what the year is going to look like and who you can turn to for support and, kind of expectations of how we do things around here, because obviously this is a different school year. We're doing this virtually, so we thought this would be a good way to connect with you and to start building that communication, lines of communication, and ultimately a community for the MD family. So I'm going to jump right in and welcome you once again. You see on this first slide a few images that you're going to see throughout the year, but also that picture is from graduation last year, a graduation car parade. And, I think it speaks to our freshman year. We're starting high school. You're starting your transcript towards graduation. But it also speaks to fun. This school year is going to be different and stressful at times, no doubt, but we're going to have fun together and we're going to build community together and stay connected with one another. And that's our goal this year. And if you're feeling like that's not happening, we ask that you reach out to whomever you can in the school to make sure that is happening. On the next slide, you're going to see just goals for this presentation, this video. I'm not going to go through each one of those, but there they are for you. Pretty straightforward. Know who to turn to for support, know how to get involved and get connected, and know what our school year is going to look like for the most part. This is our focus, besides the MD family and Mrs. Kyle and myself as building leaders. Our focus is safety and wellness for everybody, students, staff, a learning community. Essentially, we're going to build relationships and build a family type atmosphere here. That's the community part. But we're going to focus on instruction and learning together, not just teachers delivering to students, but students, teachers, staff, families all learning together and moving forward with a focus on excellence. Because we're not trying to overpressure people, but we are focused on growth and getting the most out of one another and striving for excellence from one another. So we expect that of ourselves and of everybody, one step at a time. Lastly, you see a note there. It's a first year for everybody. It's a different year. So that means like it's everybody's first year. It's your first year as a high school student. It's every staff member's first year in this new world of doing school. And it's every parent's first year as a parent trying to support their students in this new school. So it's kind of that message means we're all in this together. We're all kind of like rookies together. So let's have compassion and work together and communicate and build towards a solid community. So I'm going to introduce our Mrs. Koval and Mr. Waldbillig, our fantastic counselors, and they're going to share a bit more about some of our supports in the building.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mrs. Koval from the counseling office, and I will be working with you if your last names begin with A through K, and Mr. Waldbillig will work with students whose last names begin with L through Z. In our office, we also have Mr. Miles, who's a social worker, as well as Mr. Thomas, who's our school psychologist. You'll be seeing from time to time Mrs. Russell, who works, her office is at the high school, but she's in and out of our building, and she can help with things like substance use, abuse, prevention. So you may be seeing her in our building as well. You can see us in the morning when you come into the building, in between class passing time, or at lunchtime. If we're not available, our secretaries will be happy to give a pass to you to come down at another point when we're available. And I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Waldbillig.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mr. Waldbillig. For those of you that I have not yet met, so as you can see, what Mrs. Koval was just kind of talking about was we have a lot of support here for you at Minerva. We're happy to help you guys with whatever you need as the year continues. This slide just kind of highlights a couple things that we focus on. So our goal here in the guidance office is just to focus on the academic piece. These are a couple bullet points on the left-hand side of what we look at and what we focus on here. And then the other side of this slide is just some social emotional aspects. So we do some check-ins, conflict resolutions. We have individual counseling, right? So these are some things that you can come and access us for, and kind of what we focus on here in the guidance office if you do need support as the year continues. So this slide, just very, very briefly, these are some important notes. So quarter dates. So our School year is divided up into 4 quarters. These are when those quarters end. So what this looks like is at the end of those marking periods or quarters, we're going to focus on getting all of our work done and everything up to date. That way, those will transition into your overall GPAs at the end of the year. The other important note too here is just our scheduling process. This looks very different for all students right now. It's kind of on a case-by-case basis. If you have questions with anything in your schedule or any class right now, the first point of contact is going to be your teacher, just because usually you can help problem solve with them. The next piece of things is just come talk with us. As Mrs. Koval said, we're available all the time. If we're not at that moment, we'll get you scheduled and we'll figure it out together. So it's all about conversation and collaboration. If you guys are having trouble with anything, come see us and we'll get it sorted out.
And then this next slide just shows some other helping people in our office. We have Mrs. Kelly as the guidance secretary and Mrs. Adams. They can help you with things like printing off a schedule, if you have a locker jam or can't remember your locker combination, as well as working papers. If you're looking for that part-time job, they can assist with that. And you'll also see Mrs. Ducko on this slide, and she's our school nurse, and obviously she's the person that you'll go see if you're not feeling great. So now I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Monticelli, who can continue from here.
Thank you. We have more of the program, but we're going to say goodbye to Mrs. Koval and Mr. Waldbillig. Thank you very much.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
So the next slide, you have 3 very, very important people to the building, Mrs. Cantwell, Mrs. Berry, and Mrs. Ricker, attendants and our 2 main office secretaries. A piece of advice: take care of the people that take care of you. These folks really run the building. And when you're asking them for help, they're very, very sweet, very helpful. But I would suggest, even if you are frustrated with something or somebody, you ask nicely, and it goes a long way. So a little piece of advice: they're fantastic people, but take care of the people that take care of you, like I said. On the next slide, you'll see the Raider Way. I'm sure you've already seen this phrase in the 3 R's, and you'll see in the posters around the school. The Raider wall that we have, the picture background. But this is going to be a message that we value, and you're going to hear throughout the year. Basically, the Raider Way is how we do things here. And we use the term Raider because, you're in high school now. And Raider means like varsity, right? I know we're transitioning from the middle school to the high school, and we're getting a little more mature, and we're taking care of each other, essentially. Those 3 R's, when you see the Raider Way, basically, it's just being respectful, right? Taking care of others, being respectful towards yourself, being responsible towards your schoolwork, towards taking care of one another. If you make a mess in the cafeteria, you clean it up. Small things like that go a long way. And being resilient, obviously, pushing through hard times is one form of resilience, but so is being vulnerable enough to ask for help when you need help, when times are tough. So those are the 3 R's. That's essentially the Raider Way. You're going to see that throughout the school year. It also applies to everywhere. Anytime you step foot in the school, in the classroom, in the hallways, in the cafeteria, on the buses, that's the expectation for how we do things here. And that's the expectation not just for students, but for staff as well. This is how we're going to interact as an MD community, as an MD family. So throughout the year, you're going to see recognitions. We'll share more details about how you can recognize a staff member for being one of those 3 R's. And staff members are going to be able to recognize students. And the rewards for that will be the acknowledgement, that conversation of thank you for, being respectful and so forth. But we're also going to give away shirts, t-shirts to students, and a really cool pair of socks every month. So there's, some cool gear to go with it that I think you're really going to like. But the bigger message is, like, how do we interact with one another, knowing that nobody's perfect, but we expect everybody to be positive, respectful, and responsible, and resilient towards one another. On the next slide, you're going to see the term family. Again, we're going to continue to focus on taking care of one another, creating a family-like atmosphere here. And that means, no family's perfect. Some interactions will be challenging, but we're going to come together and, try to work through challenges and create that atmosphere that we're all valued. We all have a belonging, and we're going to work together for a great, fantastic year. again, another message here. You're going to see this. This is part of our Make a Difference campaign we do every year. This is a district-wide message and campaign. Essentially, the focus with this, the term together, the focus is mental health awareness. Obviously, with everything going on, there's so many stressors in the world and life right now. We're really going to make another focus on just mental health awareness, taking care of one another. You'll see some monthly themes that are tied to mental health awareness. And these shirts will be available online to purchase for $10. And all of those proceeds go towards charity. We're going to donate those to a mental health charity in the community. So stay on the lookout for those information in the near future as well. Okay, masks. We've been in school for about a week and a half now, and everybody's been fantastic with the masks. We really, really appreciate that. It's really taking care of one another to make sure that we're all safe and that we are, mitigating this virus so that we can be in school as long as we can. So again, masks are required. Bandanas and gaiters aren't allowed, but we haven't really seen any cases like that, so I'm not going to spend too much time. Mask breaks has been a conversation. Please know that you can take a mask break. Now, it has to be thoughtfully, like if you can pull your mask down to take a drink of water. If you have to itch your cheek, you really shouldn't, doctors say. But if you just need like a moment or a few seconds to catch your breath, go ahead and do that. You don't need to ask permission. If you need more than a moment, you can ask to go to the bathroom or step out in the hall to take that mask break. Then, of course, during lunches, you have the opportunity to take the mask break. I know it's uncomfortable. I know it's challenging, but just communicate with your teachers and they'll help you work through that. There's signs around the school for spacing. The only thing I'd say is in the mornings, we're seeing a little bit of kind of like the mall walking a little bit. You find your friends, you walk around the building a little bit. We just can't do that right now. We're really trying to stay focused on the spacing. I know it's weird and it's not cool, but that's what we need to do to make sure that we're all safe and that we're not spreading any viruses and that we can be in school as long as we can, because we want you here. Hand sanitizer, again, is in every room, and cleaning is happening in between each period for the desks, and every night you're walking into a clean desk in a clean room. So I just want you to be aware that that's happening, even though you might not see it all the time. In the mornings, again, as I kind of alluded to, we really expect you when you come into school in the mornings, you put your stuff in your locker. If you want breakfast, you can grab breakfast quick, but then you got to head to first period. It's not, I know it's contrary to the family atmosphere that we're saying that we want to build connections, but that's really what we have to do right now. Besides COVID, like flu season starting, people are going to get common colds. So if you have a fever, you're going to be out of school for a while probably because of precautionary purposes. So we're really trying hard to maintain the distancing and the masking. We're going to maintain those, and we ask for your understanding with that because we're really trying to keep you in schools indefinitely as long as we can. So that means we have to, mitigate density and not too many people being too close to one another. I'm going to switch it over to Mrs. Kyle. Mrs. Kyle, a quick introduction, and then she's going to drive here for a good portion of the next slides.
Thanks, Mr. Monticelli. Good morning, class of 2024. It's been great to get to know some of you so far and continue to get to know the rest of you as we go here. You guys have done a really great job of being in first period. By the time the bell rings, you're ready to learn. So please remember just that if you are fully virtual, you are syncing into class, your whole class schedule, Mondays, Wednesdays with the short periods, and Thursdays. So you're following that normal bell schedule, at least on Monday and Thursday. The rest of you guys, you're here, you're living the bell schedule, and you're doing a great job. So keep up the good work. All of you are at home virtually on Wednesday, and you have noticed we got one out of the way so far. They're shortened class periods, so it's really important that you're there on time, you're attending to your lesson, you're focused, you're someplace in your home that's comfortable that also helps you learn best. So just keep in mind the Wednesday schedule. If you need to print it out, please do so. If you want to take a picture of it, go ahead. But it's really important that you're in all of your classes on time because that's also how we're taking attendance on Wednesdays, and attendance does count. So please make sure you are following this schedule. As Mr. Monticelli said, you're welcome to have breakfast when you're here in school. You just need to eat relatively quickly and then move to your first period class. So same thing with lunch. You get to stay there for the whole periods. We ask that you wash your hands or sanitize your hands before you eat. That's just good hygiene. That you sit in the marked seats that have an X on them. You guys have been doing a really great job of that. And whenever you're done eating or you're getting up from your table, you do need to put your mask back on your face. So please make sure that you're doing that, and we'll all be able to continue to enjoy breakfast and lunch together as best as possible. You may have noticed by now that grading looks a little different now that we're back in school as usual compared to the spring. So you are seeing traditional grading happening. So you're getting grades on what you're doing really well with. You're getting marked off on things that you might be struggling with. If you have any questions about your grades, please see your teacher first, and then we'll work through it from there. But we are doing traditional grading that also includes things that are assigned to you while you're at home. So keep in mind that you need to be doing your own work and following all of the rules that we expect and following the policy of academic integrity. Speaking of online learning, please remember that you need to abide by the virtual learning expectations. So you need to be out of your bed or at least sitting up when you are remoting into class or logging into class from home. You need to be in your own class and not in someone else's class. So you need to keep your codes to yourself and not share them with your friends, as you learn that there will be consequences if you do not do those things. So please make sure that you are following the expectations of virtual learning. As you know that all assemblies and field trips right now are canceled. That doesn't mean they can't be rescheduled for the spring, but as of right now, they're canceled, and we do not allow any visitors to come to school unless it's by an appointment that we know of ahead of time or it's an essential meeting. So no getting food deliveries, no getting anything dropped off, and being able to talk to the person who's dropping it off. It's getting dropped off, and then we'll let you know that it's here waiting for you in the attendance office. We'll call you out of class. Your classrooms are set up. You guys are pretty evenly spaced. Make sure that you're sitting in the assigned or designated seat that your teacher has provided for you or for your class period. So that way we're ensuring enough spacing between you and your classmates. This is a great year for all of you to come together. So you guys are seeing each other for the first time. Many of you since elementary school. You've been in different middle schools. We have a club fair coming soon. There'll be opportunities to be an asset leader, student council, the student leadership team. We've met a couple times already. Spirit Weeks will be coming up soon. The Make a Difference campaign, as Mr. Monticelli spoke to. And then we always have an opportunity to get involved in a podcast too. If any of these things are of interest to you, please see a teacher or myself or Mr. Monticelli about how you can get involved, and we'll get you signed up for something. Some other procedures at the end of the day. Dismissal is at 2 o'clock. All of you should know by now what bus you're on and relatively where it is in the lineup. Buses roll at 2:05. They are not later than that because it holds up the other building. So please take the time to get onto your bus safely but quickly, and be ready to go. When sports start, there will be an athletic study hall. You will need to stay in the cafeteria or after with the teacher. You cannot just roam the halls. If you are playing an upper level sport, there will be a shuttle to take you to the high school, but that information will come later as we get those underway. Attendance is the most important indicator of how successful you will be, typically as we move into the high school. You will have consequences after 5 tardies. I'll start keeping track of those very soon. You must be in your first period class by 7:22, not 7:23, 7:22. And attendance also counts on your remote learning days as well. So like I said, Wednesdays, you log into every class, right? And then on your asynchronous days, your at-home days, you need to fill out that attendance questionnaire in your second period Google Classroom. So make sure that you are in your second period Google Classroom submitting your attendance questionnaire. Dress code, just make sure that everything that needs to be covered is covered. So abide by the box as best as possible. Please make sure you're not wearing anything offensive, anything drug or alcohol related, nothing with any cursing on it. That applies to your mask as well. Please make sure that those are all school appropriate.
Yeah, thank you, Mrs. Kyle. So phones, I haven't seen a lot of phones in school, and I'm really appreciative of that. Essentially, they got to be off and away during class. We know that, adults are connected to phones too. We know how important they are to you, but they can also be very unhealthy, especially with instructions. So they have to be off and away. If you aren't abiding by that, there could be a teacher might ask to take it and give it to me, and then you can get it back at the end of the day. We'll work with your parents on that, but they really have to be off and away during class. On the next slide, you'll see, this is an important topic. I'm not going to spend a ton of time. Ninth grade is a tough year. It's tough to be a teenager, right? Everybody, oftentimes was trying to be cool. Sometimes that involves risky behaviors because you think it's cool because you see older people doing it. I can tell you, I'm not judging. Everybody makes choices. Vapes, I get very passionate about these because I get angry that companies are basically controlling you. They're doing something to make money and targeting teenagers by making these things taste like candy, making them easy to purchase. So if you're tempted to do one of these because you think it's cool, know that it's very unhealthy and somebody's trying to control your mind by making money off you. We know people are struggling. Some of you may already be well involved with these, addicted to them. Know that we are aware of these, and we're going to keep an eye out, keep a nose open. We're going to be checking the bathrooms because they just can't happen in the school. And if you do get caught with one, it's an opportunity for a conversation with your parents and how we can get support wrapped around you to help you get away from those because they are unhealthy. Speaking of that, we see a reminder of our counseling office. Mrs. Russell is our substance abuse coordinator. So, if you bring one of those into school, you're probably going to get caught and it's going to be getting in trouble, but also support. So it's like support and accountability to go with that. So don't do it. Don't bring them to school and we won't have those conversations. Again, this is just a summary of some of the things we already talked about. This last slide, second to last slide, is just a reminder. We're in this together, right? So I've already seen great things about this class. I've heard great things from the middle school. So middle school staff, we know you're a fantastic class. Some advice, put yourself out there a little bit. We know ninth grade is weird because you're coming together with two different buildings. And it's a weird year. Everybody wants to be cool. Everybody wants to fit in and be cool, but put yourself out there, meaning like meet new people, introduce yourself to staff members, to other students that maybe you haven't met before, join a club, try out for a sport. So there's opportunities there that what you're going to get out of this year, what you put into it. So try to step out of your comfort zone a little bit in a safe way. Second bullet there, show up. Like Mrs. Kyle said, you just got to show up, come to school. If you're home virtually, you have to engage in learning. If you don't, freshman year is tough to come back from. If you totally disengage and say, I'm not going to do school, it's really hard to come back from that. So stay involved. If you're stressed out about school, work, ask for help. We can help engage you in school. We can help give you supports to help work you back into it. So it's not all at once, but again, show up and engage. Good habits. Habits are life-changing. If you change one tiny little habit, that can change your life completely after like a few weeks, like sleep patterns. We see a lot of people, adults too, that are going to bed too late and it totally messes up their day. So basic nutrition, sleep habits is one habit that you can do. Getting organized, just being ready for class. Work on some good habits. If you're not sure how to, ask somebody, any teacher, any counselor, any administrator here can help you with that. Lastly, follow us on our social media accounts. We have updates that will help you, like, hey, what day is today? What schedule letter? What letter day is this? Or just some interesting cultural things like pictures, some updates, and opportunities to like join clubs and things. So follow us on those. We'll have Raider Talk podcasts out there where we're just having conversations and building community. So again, we're looking forward to a great year. The class of 2024 is the best. We're going to have a fun year. If you need anything, please let any one of us know. And we'll see you soon.